Which Final Fantasy characters could defeat Urza in a fight? It's a trick question. None of them. Hey kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, we are going to be having the last of the Final Fantasy Universes Beyond conversations pre-release, or at least what I hope is going to be the final Final Fantasy video. Because there's at least a few things worth discussing. Two things, really. And then one final thing that I will probably forget as we get to closing this video out. I want to talk about the TCG player sale and some of the things happening there that I thought were worth noting. And I want to talk about the conversations I've been having with store owners, collectors, and investors, both in my local community and online. And I also kind of want to talk about the Commander decks, but that could probably be its own video, and I could probably wait until after the set's out. And the set is coming out soon-ish, the 13th of June, which is just a few weeks away. So I figure now might not be a bad time to go about asking some stores what they thought about the set in general, as well as I wanted to really kind of feel around and talk to people about what they were getting in terms of allocation, because you hear it a lot online, especially if you talk to or if you watch a lot of content creators, you'll hear a lot of stores getting their allocations cut, their orders cut, it's hard to find product, all that jazz. But I really wanted to get a kind of ground floor, street level view of the situation, which is important, I think, when talking about topics like this. You know, you can go along with the narrative that you see online, or you can try to do a bit of digging yourself. And sometimes the information you get when talking to actual stores is different from the chatter you see online, and other times it's just so perfectly aligned with the online discourse. So I want to say that I've talked to about 7 or 8 different store owners. I have 2 card stores in the area here, and then I have a bunch of friends online who run their own card stores, and I asked them 2 simple questions, okay? I asked them 2 simple questions. One, how many Final Fantasy collector boxes did they order? And how many are they receiving? And only one of these people is getting more than 6 boxes. Most are getting between 1 to 3. Virtually all of them, there were 2 that only ordered. There were 2 that I talked to who were given an allocation number, which I understand that is a thing that distributors will do for some stores. They will just tell them, hey, these are how many you can order. But a lot of them just tried ordering as many as they could get with their balance sheets, and they did not receive anywhere close to what they ordered. One in particular is suffering because of it, because he allowed his customers to place pre-orders on the boxes, and he is not getting nearly as many boxes as his customers pre-order. But that's going to be a conversation for another day. If you're watching this video, you know who you are, and you goofed, buddy. Just like I said. You goofed. I did have a longer conversation with one of these store owners, and he's been in Magic the Gathering since the early days, and I would love to have him on the channel at some point, maybe in a Discord call or something, because he used to be a sports card store way back in the day, and he's an older gentleman. And when Magic came along, he started selling Magic cards in his store. And he told me a little fun anecdotal story from back in the day, because he compares Final Fantasy's release to the release of Legends and Arabian Nights, in that they are both extremely hyped sets that were very difficult for stores to get a hold of. All 3 of them, I should say. Final Fantasy, Arabian Nights, Legends. Yeah, those are 3 different sets. Yeah, perfect. And I just thought that was an interesting little anecdote for him to mention because, yeah, it does feel like Final Fantasy is in extremely high demand for obvious reasons. You know, it's a extremely hyped set with some cherished characters from one of the most iconic video game franchises of all time. And the overall feel of the energy going into this set feels very different from a lot of what we were seeing with Magic for the last 2 to 3 years. How long ago were the Amazon dumps? 2022, 2023, I want to say. When some Magic sets weren't doing all that hot, and Wizards of the Coast just dumped those boxes straight onto Amazon for direct player consumption. I feel like that was at the tail end of 2022, but someone in the comments hopefully correct me if I'm wrong. But we've come a long way since then. We've come a long way since the negativity of Magic is dying. Store owners are just not interested in buying it. People are moving on to other things. We've come a long way because now not only are Magic sets coming out that are selling well, genuinely selling well. Look at Bloomburrow. Look at Foundations. Don't look at Dustmorn. Don't look at what was the racing set? I already forget the name of the racing set. It was such a silly Aether Drift. That was it. Boom. You guys can tell that I'm not like a smart person, right? I forget things so easily. I was having a conversation with a guy earlier today, a buddy of mine, and I literally forgot what the one miniatures game that's kind of like Warhammer but with robots instead, BattleTech. I almost forgot it there too. Not a very smart person. But anyway, the overall response I got from the stores, I just want to follow a whole tangent. The overall response I got from stores is that virtually none of them are getting anywhere close to how much they tried to get. And that what they are receiving, it seems like it's already been spoken for pretty much all of them. And yeah, I am not surprised by that one bit. But it helps me segue into what we're seeing with the TCG Players sale, because something interesting is happening there that I think is worth talking about in regard to the Final Fantasy play boxes. Usually, I had to split up the video there for a bit. Part of the reason people are willing to pay such a high price for collector boosters on the secondary market is because of the implied additional value found within those collector booster boxes. And with Final Fantasy, it's no real different, right? There's the additional foiling and the chance at the golden 77 chocobos. Sure, that is there. But you'd think with how excited people are to be picking up Final Fantasy in Magic the Gathering card form, you'd think that they would be clamoring to get a hold of any product featuring the Final Fantasy cast lineup. And the market, while it does show explosive sales, those sales for play boosters in particular are still below MSRP, which is very interesting. Very interesting to me because it tells me that even with all the excitement, availability is still through the roof. And that lines up with my earlier belief that Wizards was going to do their very best to make this set as available as possible, since it is a standard legal set and will be standard legal for 3 years. So I thought that was an interesting thing to note, the sheer availability of a Universes Beyond set in terms of sealed product, not collector boosters, mind you, and not the collector commander sets. Those are gone as far as I can tell and as far as I can find. You aren't getting those easily. But yeah, no, as far as I can see online, while there is a lot of excitement about these Final Fantasy play boxes, their supply is enough currently to meet and exceed demand, which is why it's why I believe that the prices are trailing under MSRP, even with the sheer number of boxes that sold on Friday. Crazy to think about the several thousand play boxes sold during the sale. By the way, like 3,000 or 4,000, I think. It was a huge number. Way more than usual booster boxes sell in a day. But even with those extreme high sales, volumes and a lot of money dumped into it. The boxes, yeah, there was the 145 price tag cleared out from TCG Player directly, I think. But even after that was done, they were still selling at the 170 price tag, but they didn't really seem to be going above it, which is something worth noting because it tells me, my opinion, in my opinion, I believe that these Final Fantasy boxes are going to be available for a while. Not the collector booster boxes, the play booster boxes. It tells me that their availability is kind of what I anticipated and what a few others anticipated as well, in that Wizards wanted these to be available so that people in Standard could play them. So they will be available in Standard, probably not for the entire 3-year life cycle of the set, but at the very least, I think the next 12 months are going to be full of Final Fantasy fun for those who just want the cards and don't care too much about the chance at the Golden Chocobo. So all I want to say, leading into this set, and this is hopefully my final video about the set, I might make a separate video at some point about the Commander decks. All I want to say is that if you are not someone who cares all that much about the extra foiling types, because I think there's a special foiling for the Commander collector sets. At the very least, if you don't care about the race for the Golden Chocobo, and, you know, for what it's worth, the odds of pulling one of those is microscopic. If you aren't someone who cares about that race, then if you just want some exposure to what I think is going to be a really sought-after set in the long term and a very hyped-up set now, play boosters are very affordable for what they are, and they seem to be readily available. So any misgivings you might have about the scarcity of Final Fantasy, I think at this point can be alleviated with the simple idea that Wizards has made this set very, very available. And if you want some, get some. And of course, you know, the asterisk at the end there is if you can get a hold of collector booster boxes for a reasonable price, go ahead and grab some, because long term I think those are going to be a very, very worthwhile product to hold on to, because look, those are, I don't want to say they're only going to go up, because look, you could be wrong about any number of things. I don't want to be wrong about that, but you know, it could happen. But there is a decent chance of those going up for the foreseeable future. But that's all I wanted to say today. I hope you kids enjoyed. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Those are the magic words that please the algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.